Can I start with this group? Because you seem to be getting yourselves together.
Me?
John?
Okay. Someone else took notes?
Yeah, we had the grid integration.
We had good ecology.
We discussed first the importance of integrating our grid with other areas like Manitoba. If we have renewable electricity, a lot of people, I think, have a sense that solar is not able to be stored, so we need an immediate on-demand power, and hydro from Manitoba could provide that. Does anybody else have another aspect of what we talked?
Retrofitting? Yeah.
Retrofitting homes. So if we approached Saskatchewan Construction Association and said, let's retrofit most homes in Regina so they can withstand winter with minimal heating, then it would be a job creation proposal as well as an ecological benefit.
And a way to sort of bring, perhaps not, what you consider your normal allies on board, right?
Is that okay?
Sorry, I was going to say, a way to sort of approach groups that perhaps might have been recalcitrant to change in the past, but if you had like a province-wide sort of retrofit program, you would bring those construction associations and trade, building trades all on board, because it would be a boon to them, right? Yeah.
Okay. Just leave you with a couple of questions coming from that. Obviously, interconnecting with Manitoba requires money to build the interconnections. I kind of hope that will be federal money, but for as long as our current government is being obstructive, that's not going to happen. So there's a question of where does that money come from? And then it's the same question, actually, with the retrofits. And how do we actually set up a financing system that will work for that? I mean, I think there are models that could work. There are models that can work in terms of it being paid back through the energy savings that are made over the next 25 years. So you're talking in terms of a mortgage on the building rather than on the owner. And there are systems that can do that, but they need to be set up in law.
I think methane is something we have to pay attention to.
Somebody over here?
Diets and also in the waste management.
Definitely.
I think that's a quick, easy thing we can do.
And it's such a big gas for the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's as far as it goes.
We found ourselves going into the political, and so we were making the assumption that nothing that we were talking about that right now, here and now, was going to work unless there were a change of government in 2020. And what we were mostly talking about is rewarding, subsidies to projects and funding that by reducing the kind of rewards that we give already to multinational corporations, and selling that publicly by advertising the local successes of the community groups that the examples would be there, in other words, to encourage more and more support for local community projects, and I guess that's where we are. Is that right? Yeah, I think that was it.
Okay, so we could turn that into a corporate Robin Hood scheme, couldn't we? Where we take away those subsidies from rich corporations and we give them to local community groups.
Mark, that's as far as it goes.
I think you're going to have to stand up and come here, someone. Come on, don't be shy.
Thanks so much. So our group was talking about the policy around transitioning the energy with SAS Power and different incentives, demand side management, renewables, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, that was quite a few of our ideas. One of the most interesting things that we chatted about was in BC, they have a program where it's 3-tiered. So, for example, if you're using energy at a time where demand is high, you pay a higher price than when demand is low. Likewise, if you're generating energy at a time when the demand is high, you get a larger return. So it works out quite nicely because then you're able to make money when you're away at work. You come home and the energy that you may have been producing from your household solar panel pays for your electricity bills. So we were talking about how some of those policy frameworks can really encourage transition and save power without demand side management.
Thank you. Yeah, that's actually a really important one. It's something they're actively pursuing it sort of with greater sophistication in Denmark, where it's variable pricing right across the day according to what the predicted difference between supply and demand is, which you can do with a smart grid system, which they're gradually sort of rolling out in Denmark. So at the moment we don't have a smart grid, but smart grid is kind of essential to what we're talking about here. The other thing we can do with it is once we've all got electric vehicles, then we've actually got a storage facility there that we can sell back to the grid, and then we can buy from the grid when we need it again. So, you know, there's a distributed storage system there that can even things out. This group over here, somebody can have to come over here.
Hi. We had a pretty wide-ranging discussion. We talked a lot about the difference between policy and activism. Get policy going and then become active to get it in place. We talked about public transit, bringing back STC. If that was important to people, they need to find out which political parties have that in their platform and then get active and encourage them and vote for them. Growing renewables, we talked about more than demonstration projects. We need a real project. Activism, education, going to talk to your city councilors about what more your city can do, that becomes activism. And we got into talking about the carbon tax. That it's also a matter of education and awareness and thinking about what we're doing. Anything else?
Okay, thanks very much. The other groups seem to be coming in, so I think that's probably as much as we can do, but please, I assume that we've been being recorded, so, but I can send the slides out to everybody, and I think if anybody wants that last slide in particular, so that they can think further about, you know, what policy measures can work. Because I mean, I think innovative policy frequently comes from the grassroots. It doesn't usually come from the politicians. So please keep thinking about it, come up with brilliant ideas, and we can share them. So thank you, everybody.